today's guys pod, we're going to talk about social media, which is a big one. I have some insights to it, and I know some people online, but they are interested in hearing about this. But for some reason, it's not really being talked about a lot, kind of mainstream and by professionals or influencers or whatever. I think I know a couple of reasons why. Let's get up in the air first. Where's my mouse? Here we go. All right. Okay, we're going to take off from Charles de Gaulle, which I picked randomly. Spared you the me spinning the globe around and trying to pick an area. I just decided, let's just do this. Okay, so I started noticing this. Social media could have been more positive things than negative things. But if we extrapolate it out, more bad things are happening in a lot of the side effects of social media. My background, I think, that I can kind of add some insight to this is that I started online posting my stuff and creating websites really back in the mid 90s. Then late 90s, I started posting music and saw the evolution of online music, which was very helpful for indie artists, until it was not. Instead of repairing it for the artist, they screwed over the indie artists that weren't signed. And I could tell you real quick how basically the websites like mp3.com, IUMA, Pure Volume, if you look those up, very old websites, very popular. Well, MySpace too, later on. The indie artists were getting heard, and the major record labels were in Newberry Comics and the CD stores, right, record stores, and there was kind of a division. Now, I think both of them could have lived happily ever after, but the problem is that then online obviously was the major resource and the place to go to, so the big companies came over, and instead of making a space for everyone, artists basically just got booted. And then you couldn't really make even the little money you could make back then or to get the exposure, that was all gone. And I saw that happen in real time with my band later on in the mid 2000s on MySpace. We were doing decent, getting exposure, on our own efforts, and it was fair. So anyway, what does that have to do with social media today? It's because if you extrapolate it out, exposure being the key word, is I don't think we're being saturated by content. I think we're being narrowly guided by the social media algorithms, as they did before with music. So let me just get right to it. Social media, what I've noticed is we're going to talk about comment ghosting. We're going to talk about how the algorithms give you your feed, which, by the way, I don't have the answer to that. I've been doing some testing. It's quite random sometimes of how it's being done. If you noticed in 2016, obviously with Trump and everything, there was definitely a loud voice saying people are getting censored, blah blah blah. Was always voted Democrat, but I would say that I'm in the middle now. I could see why they were feeling getting censored. They were definitely getting censored, the right, because I got censored, and I definitely did not. Don't think there was any reason for my comments to get ghosted. And what ghosting means is that ghosting is when a platform hides your comment, hides your kind of voice without telling you. So you see your own comment, but everyone else can't. So that's ghosting, and it's really bad because not only are you wasting time commenting and you don't realize no one's even seeing it. But the reason why they're doing it, I still can't, like I said, the algorithms are quite baffling. And you could basically call it AI at this point anyway, because you're taking like probably algorithms in their infancy and then they got more sophisticated, and then you have machine learning, and then now you have deep learning. But it's basically now everything's evolving to basically the bucket of AI. It's all the same thing. Okay, a computer is determining by a bunch of criteria points what happens, what the human discourse is, and here's the bottom line: is discourse is being affected, and it's not because there's one thing about illegal things happening, like hate speech or threatening to kill someone. That's a separate. Should be black and white. And Elon Musk had said that a lot, even though he's very polarizing, right? But I do agree with him on that. The illegal things, we're not talking about that. We're talking about things that I've seen myself, that other people online have seen, about their comments getting deleted out of nowhere. And I did a couple tests, and there's a couple of interesting things that have been happening. Or I think of why they get deleted. Okay? Now, mind you, my comments that I've made, social media really instigates people. It's become clickbaity. It has, just beyond dumb content now. Even the smart content, because, I don't know, I haven't mentioned this at the beginning of the video. I have a lot of interest, science, working on a game now, or a couple of game-related projects. And obviously I do music, and I have my band, The Living Modern, and Us Versus Them, and we put out music still. And just a lot of projects. But my point is that there's no reason why my feeds should be as bad as they are sometimes. And trust me, I've heard the counter argument where it say, well, the feeds only show you what you actually watch. Well, I have some evidence to counter that. Sorry, I can't help it if I watch some garbage videos sometimes, especially back before I realized now that it's really just a waste of time. But I really try to push the content that I try to tell the feeds what I like to see. So with the feeds, first of all, on YouTube, right, one of the platforms, we're going to talk about Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X, I guess, or Twitter. But the main ones I think are really YouTube and Instagram, and I guess TikTok. And I've been on TikTok as well, and then I deleted. I deleted off my phone after. YouTube. When you save a video on YouTube for your playlist, so you say I'm interested in this, or I want to save these videos to watch, because the only way you're gonna get good content is if you do the effort and you look for them. But the thing is that they make it very easy for people to not do that, and that's what they want. They don't want you necessarily to search for good content. If you look on YouTube on your left navigation bar there, playlists are actually hidden under Show More. I used to always miss it, or I didn't know where to find it, and then I realized all your playlists that you save your videos are hidden in this really vague Show More type button. So that's one thing. So they don't make it as easy to curate your own feed. And when you create an account, they ask you what your interests are. That's great. I don't know what I posted on half these accounts that are now maybe a decade old. No one remembers that stuff, and then your feed gets taken by the algos. But why not ask people again what they're interested on and kind of reset your feeds? And I asked ChatGPT this, and I've argued back and forth, and it's kind of ChatGPT, obviously the AI engine, which is a great knowledge tool, scrapes the internet for what we humans put into it. And people want to discourage, or companies want to discourage, the fact to say it's too hard to try to make your own feed more productive for you. Which is weird, because they can do it. So that's one thing. So your feed is automated. Now, if you go in with a blank account, you can see the feed is quite different. Everyone could tell you that. And it's not that great either, but it's definitely maybe even more tame. It was very bland. Till you get into the salacious parts, where that's where people probably click on the clickbaity stuff, or the stuff that they don't really like. It's not really of interest, but it's just mind-numbing, and you see, sex sells, so that's a big one, right? You start clicking on one thing, and your feed automatically. I don't know if it's feeding off also the popularity of that post, and then it just amplifies it. And I think Tristan, I don't want to get his last name wrong, but on TEDx, he talked about this. He's a big proponent against what's happening with social media today. Your feeds are amplifying themselves, and even though when I was looking up a lot of science videos and stuff, they just weren't showing up enough. And then the other thing too is, and they do show up, but then you'll still get trickling of other videos that I literally will spend more time saying not interested than not on YouTube, for example. But then you'll get the same videos that you've watched, and they kind of, there's a lot more videos than the same 50 videos that's appeared on my feeds throughout the year, but for some reason they keep recycling a lot of stuff, which is weird. So the algorithm's not smart enough to know what you've watched, obviously, and the algorithm doesn't have a problem recommending you the same stuff you've already watched, so it's not creative enough. It's like when you listen to like mainstream radio, right? Back in the day, you'd hear the same Metallica song 20 times in a row in a day. Which was really annoying. So there's something there where I think they never really evolved past that part, and that's mainstream, right? And mainstream, we have to do better in mainstream. So let's get back to the comment ghosting, which is more egregious. The comment ghosting is really bad. So when I did the testing, your comments will get hidden if you post a comment that someone doesn't like, right? I think there's a lot of things that can make it get ghosted. The person can report you. I think that could potentially ghost it. If you reply to someone, that's a big one to get ghosted. And Instagram, I've noticed this too. Instagram, at least they were more transparent. Sometimes they'll just tell you the person doesn't want to be replied to. So that stops human discourse. So the person can say whatever they want, but they don't want to receive any criticism or any replies. I mean, heck, everyone can just do that and then just kind of like live in their own echo chambers. If you check back on a lot of your comments, if you log in with a different account and you go back to it, you'll see that the comment is gone. This is happening more widespread than you might think. If you go back and edit your comment, it'll pop up again. So there's certain keywords that are not consistent will make the algorithm ghost your comment. And these comments, by the way, they're not illegal. Like we said with the illegal black and white line, they're not illegal. They're just critical, or they're probably saying, rightfully so, that you're replying to someone and they're just stupid, right? Even if you try to say the most constructive thing without resorting to insults. And by the way, you should be able to people insult each other. I was insulted early on YouTube, and I just let it go. I was like, I'll keep your comment up. You look like an idiot, whatever. But apparently a lot of people can't handle that anymore, the criticisms. And when they say, oh, you don't have to watch this, the problem is that these things are being force-fed to us on the feeds. And you can't bring up stupidity, so you have to let people kind of poison and make other people waste time that don't realize what they're watching. And you can't criticize. They have to, if you're going to allow discourse, like the Don Lemon Elon Musk interview. That was an interesting interview because both of them say they're for human discourse and they need to talk stuff through. The problem is that the platforms that they're on are not allowing that. No, there's no platform today allowing regular discourse, and allowing the criticisms and allowing people then to self-adjust themselves. What these algorithms are doing is they're kind of forcing you to self-correct your own actions. Is that maybe if you post enough criticisms or something, or you've kind of pissed off enough people, it's not profitable for the platforms. They can't sell ads, or they don't want people unhappy. So maybe they put a hidden kind of they blackball you, and they kind of amplify the censorship on you. And I felt that because even when I self-corrected myself, I said, okay, let me try to be more constructive. Let me try to say more happier things, blah, blah, blah. I did notice some of my comments were still getting ghosted. So I couldn't figure it out. And if you believe what I'm telling you, that your comments might be hidden from others, then that probably won't make you want to go engage with more people. Because what's the point if 50% of your speech is being taken away? Because you're literally wasting your time. If you wrote a long paragraph, thoughtful paragraph, and then it gets ghosted, which has happened to me, one long paragraph. So that is a problem that is blatant, egregious, and they really can't argue against that. I have enough evidence against that. Now, the feed, the other interesting thing is the feed. The comment feed and the prioritization of the comments that are coming in on videos, Instagram, you name it, doesn't matter. If you do newest first, you will notice a lot more kind of honest answers, or just like, more variety of answers in the newest that you usually see in the filtered, most popular, the default comments. And I think that's what's creating the echo chamber. You're getting a filtered view, and there is no rhyme or reason, because it's definitely not going by likes count, although likes are a huge reason why a lot of these comments get pushed up, which is fine. They're the more popular one. You have to go by a criteria here, but it's not consistent. And again, the overlying theme here is that there's no transparency to any of this. So we don't know how any of this really works. I can just show it by testing. But again, it's more refreshing, like literally refreshing to the mind, to see the newest comments before they get filtered out by the algo, seeing what people are posting. First of all, the type of content that Facebook shows is really bad. It shows, animals suffering, murders. I mean, this is in like every single, like in a group where they're selling Tupperware, and you'll see this type of garbage. Facebook, I don't know what Facebook is doing. I think I've advertised on Facebook too before. I don't know if there's bots that are watching, that are subscribed to, or that like the pages, because they say, oh, if you advertise, you're going to get this many people. Facebook is a mess. But Facebook owns Instagram, and Instagram is really bad too. The feeds are just really bad. And obviously the feeds are not meant to be productive, apparently. And if there are like a lot of, I know there's science stuff and art stuff, it does not show up for me at all. And I'm not going to try to train the algo and force it, because it always it's very easily goes back to the stuff that you typically see, which is the mainstream garbage that you see. And I'll be honest, when they make the argument for TikTok, saying, the Chinese TikTok shows more productive videos for their population, but for the US, they're dumbing us down. Yes, but Instagram is doing it just as much. Facebook, is just, like I said, is actually mentally making people ill. And YouTube is doing the same thing. So I found that Reddit is a bit better, because Reddit will tell you, hey, you can't comment, or your comment got deleted, or whatever. And that's the place where I'm going to then reach out to some people on Reddit and say, hey, I posted this video. Hopefully this inspires debate, and I'll engage a discourse through kind of better channels, or on Discord as well. So we talked about the feed, we talked about ghosting, we talked about kind of the judgment that we don't know, who's getting blackballed, right? This is not left and right anymore. The far left and the far right are just as bad. And the final thing I'll say, and I'll make more videos about this stuff, and we'll find a landing spot, is, topics like Israel-Gaza. That's where you saw a lot of the algos just going crazy, ghosting people, deleting people's comments. One person who said something, if they were for whatever person was talking on the video and you have enough people following their view, then it was much less likely I saw that they would get ghosted rather than someone coming in with like a different view or saying something that just made everyone lose their minds. That's just not productive. You just have people echoing each other, self-validating each other, and it turns into a hive mind. I think we're getting lazier in our thinking, and that's why I'm gonna try to promote things that we can do, including for myself, to kind of wake up, be more productive in terms of helping each other out rather than partake in the same boring discourse that's happening today. If people don't think a lot of the stuff today is cringe, and I know people say it, but people don't want to hear it because the fact of the matter is that they're making a lot of money off this stuff. And where there's the money, they're not going to discourage it. That's why we're not talking about, no one's talking about YouTube doing this. Actively ghosting comments, no one's been talking about it, which is really weird. So anyway. Okay, we crashed. Well, that was the end of the podcast. I hope you liked it. So thank you, and I'll see you next time.